When Kimberly Aiken won Miss America, this morning's guest was with her in Atlantic City. But she watched it on TV, just like you and me. Hear that story coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're in the lobby of the Spartanburg Memorial Auditorium in Spartanburg, South Carolina. We're focused on the Miss South Carolina pageant and its scholarship component. And we're visiting with the Vice President and Chair of the Miss South Carolina Scholarship Foundation, South Carolina Scholarship Foundation Board.
That is correct.
The Honorable
Good
Rita
morning.
Allison.
How
Good morning.
Are you this morning?
Rita, I hope you don't mind if I use Rita.
No, please do.
Early
That
on a
sounds
Thursday
grand.
morning, and of
That's
course, I
exactly
said the
right.
Honorable, a former member of the South Carolina House of Representatives, and a soon-to-return.
That's right. I'm looking forward to go back in January of '09.
How exciting!
It is.
That has got to
Very
be a
exciting.
great feel and a great service component. And you're actually representing the residents of this area.
I do. District 36 in Spartanburg County.
That's tremendous.
So it's a great area to represent, wonderful people to represent, and I'm looking forward to '09.
The Miss South Carolina pageant is old hat to you. You have been attending and participating in and supporting the Miss South Carolina organization for how many years now, Rita? Not to date you, but...
It's been 30 plus,
is that
I am
right?
sure.
Yes.
I won't go beyond that, but it's been 30 plus that I've been involved in some way or the other, and it's been a great experience. It's been wonderful to watch a lot of young women across the state of South Carolina just blossom into their careers, to become mothers and lawyers and doctors and politicians, and so it's been a great experience. It's a wonderful training ground for these young women.
All the women, absolutely.
Yes,
Just a couple of weeks ago here in the auditorium and over the Marriott, the host hotel, to see some of the contestants, the 92 contestants, both on the teen side and on the Miss side, literally from every nook and cranny of the state, from all over the state, traveling to Spartanburg to be here to attend and compete.
Well, and even though we have a new Miss South Carolina teen and a new Miss South Carolina, all those other young women are winners too, because they're going back into their communities, committed to their community service and making a difference in their communities, which makes South Carolina as a whole a better place.
Earlier this week, Joey and his mother, Gail.
Yes.
Joey, the executive vice president of the Miss South Carolina organization. His mother's the comptroller.
Yes.
And then even last Monday, we kicked off the week here with Joe, the president and CEO of the organization, and hear them talk as a family.
Right.
The three of them have had a combined more than 100 years of service to that goal.
We sort of came into that together, and this has been a family situation because, as you know, my husband has served as judge's chairman for some 16, 17 years now. Our daughter, who is now 36 years old and lives in Beaufort with our two grandsons, she grew up in the pageant, never competed, it was never her thing, but she enjoyed dancing on stage and did a lot of behind-the-scenes work. So it has been a family affair, and I think it's the type thing where your entire family gets involved because they know what a great program it is and what it does for young women of the state. And of course now we have young men involved in it as prince and future princes who are here escorting and being a part of it. It gives them an opportunity to support their sisters and their cousins, and it's a great program.
Well, it was great to hear you mention that phrase about Katina, that it wasn't her thing. And the great aspect there is that so many of these young ladies have made a clean decision on their own. This is something I want to get involved in, or this is not. And the parents are very supportive of their decision. Either they want to get involved, remain involved and compete, and ultimately pursue the crown, but at the same time they'll feel like winners. And so their parents are very supportive, but they ultimately make that final decision.
They make that decision. I dare say that if you spoke with any of the young women in the last 2 weeks, you know that they have made their own decisions to do that. And like my daughter, she came up in high school, she was involved, in college she was involved, but she just went a different way. And these young women make the decision to do this. It's a wonderful scholarship opportunity, but beyond the scholarship comes the opportunity to open doors, to develop as a young woman, to empower yourself, the self-development, self-improvement. It's one of the best programs to do that. And I think that's great for young women no matter what they choose to do in life.
Right.
Young women building the confidence, because in this day and time, young women can be whatever they want to be.
Oh, yeah.
Many doors are open today that maybe would not have been opened at the time I grew up.
Right.
So it's a great opportunity. It's a great, and I hate to use this overused phrase, but it's an empowering program for young women. And I dare say that any young woman that goes through the program doesn't come out of it a little better. In the past 28 years, the young women that I traveled to Atlantic City with, and there were 28 of them, and as you know, Miss America now is in Las Vegas,
Correct.
and the young women are housed together with a dorm mother. But before that, we used to travel with our state queen to Atlantic City, and were housed with her in adjoining rooms, and went to many of the activities with her, and took care of her while she was there. None of those young women that I went with have not told me that they're better for having gone through the program.
Is that right?
That is true.
Not a one.
That's right, not a one. And that's over and beyond. Most of them paid for their college educations through the program, but many of them doors were open for them just because they wore the crown. You know, it's amazing how that crown can get you through a lot of doors to opportunities out there.
That is tremendous,
It
Rita.
is.
That must be
It
very
really is.
empowering for you.
It
Not
is.
necessarily
It's
the right
very
word, empowering,
rewarding.
but rewarding. Forgive me. Yes,
Because
for you.
when you watch those young women, and I've always said, as they blossom, and you know, there's an old saying, bloom where you're planted, and they do. They begin to bloom and reach their potential of being whatever they choose to be. And we've had a lot of young women who have gone into journalism, who are in broadcasting. Nancy O'Dell, who's out on Access Hollywood.
Oh, yeah.
We've got lawyers, we've got doctors, and to go back and sit down with them today, and many of them are in their 40s and 50s, they will always go back to say, the Miss South Carolina program and the Miss America program opened those doors for me and gave me and instilled in me the confidence that I could be as a young woman in South Carolina, whatever I wanted to be.
Now, what empowered you at an early age, Rita? Clearly somebody who has broken through, as we heard many of the contestants talk about a couple of weeks ago during the pageant, during the judging, during the interview process, about Senator Clinton talking about the 18 million cracks in the glass ceiling that a lot of voters who had supported her candidacy for the president had helped remind folks that the ceiling is being cracked, if not broken, and ultimately when there is a female president and the excitement there for them. What helped empower you at an early age?
Well, you know, I grew up in a family that was very involved in the community and that kind of thing, so it was just very natural for me to get involved. And then, of course, as my education progressed and all, most of my education was in fashion and merchandising and that kind of thing. And I had a business of my own for 16 years. It dealt with self-improvement, helping people with their job skills. It was total image modeling and talent studio.
Oh, boy.
So we handled singers and dancers, did a lot of musical groups that travel the Southeast for. We have Milliken here, a textile industry, and Mr. Milliken was the founder of Made in the USA. So when he came out in that, we had a musical group that traveled to talk about how important it is, we as Americans, to buy Made in the USA. So that sort of introduced me to that element, and a lot of young women came to me for some training and that kind of thing. And then I served this state as a state JC auxiliary president.
I saw that.
And during that time, I judged some local pageants. And at the end of my year serving state, having traveled South Carolina speaking and organizing and all, a young lady from Spartanburg won the title of Miss South Carolina, Claudia Turner. She's now Bowman, and she was here last week during the pageant and that kind of thing. But she won. My husband and I had had the opportunity to judge her, and I just felt she had great potential. She went on to be first runner-up to Miss America, to Phyllis George.
To Phyllis George.
To Phyllis George in '72. And after that, being first runner-up, she has a gorgeous voice and a great talent, and she was asked by the Miss America program to do the Bob Hope tour. And we flew into 25 different states that year, and she was the opening act for Bob Hope for his college tour. And it just became a great thing. So over and beyond all the other things she did as Miss South Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
There was a lot of extra things that she did. She did pet milk commercials.
No.
Very popular.
Really
in South
opened the
Carolina.
doors, yes.
It really opened the doors. So after that, they asked me if I would become the traveling companion for Miss South Carolina. And at that time, Katina wasn't around, so
right.
we were a little more fluid about moving and that kind of thing. So I did. I traveled starting that next year for 28 years to the Miss America program as the state
you've got
traveling
some
commissioner.
amazing stories from
I
those
do.
trips
And
to
even-
Atlantic City. You said
Absolutely.
everyone at that time was to Atlantic City.
Yes, and even though each one of those young women had their own special, unique talents and individual personalities and
Right.
that kind of thing, it was just amazing to watch each one of them go and do what they do best and give what the talents that they had and come back. And we had a lot of top tens, we had
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot of first and second runner-ups, and we had young women who didn't make the top 10, but
Right.
they came back and were outstanding Miss
Oh,
South
yeah.
Carolinas
Yeah.
and really made a difference in the state.
I bet you have an amazing story for each one of them, but I've got to ask, and I'm sure viewers would want to know, what was that like being in Atlantic City when Kimberly Aiken
It was a
crowned
very
Miss
exciting
America?
time.
Yes, and of course Miss America will be with us tomorrow for
Yes.
viewers who need to get off to work
Yes.
now or get family out of the house. Come
Right,
on back
and you
in
must
to tune
meet
in to
her because
Kirsten
she's an
Haglund tomorrow.
outstanding young lady.
Yes.
Outstanding young
But
lady.
please share with us what it was like for
Well, it
you
was
there. You were on
very
the front row
exciting.
probably? Yeah.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, you know, I always said here in the state, now when I have a Miss America, I'm probably going to think about retiring and passing this this opportunity on to someone else in the state. But you know, I went to Atlantic City and had some very severe pains while I was up there waiting for her to become Miss America.
Right.
But actually, I had the shingles, not
Oh,
knowing
no.
they were until I arrived back in South Carolina the next week.
Wow.
But I was not well at all, and I would take care of her when she came at night.
Right.
We had adjoining rooms, get her clothes ready for the next morning, send her out, and then go to bed every day while she was in rehearsal.
And she didn't
while the
know, yeah.
Atlantic City hostess was taking care of her.
Right.
And on the day of the finals,
Yeah.
they get up in the morning and go to Convention Center at that time,
Right.
and they stayed all day. They kept them sort of in lockup for the
Right,
day,
recluse.
preparing, blocking for TV and all of those things.
Sure.
So once I got her up that morning, on Friday night, they took me to the hospital.
No.
And she was in the bed asleep. Gail Sanders at the time came over
Right.
and stayed while they took me to the hospital. They made all sorts of tests and everything.
Kimberly never knew any of this.
Kimberly never
Right,
knew.
right.
And so on Saturday, while she was rehearsing and all, I managed to get up because they didn't find out what was wrong with me. They
Right,
sent me back
right.
home. And so I got up, packed up all of our clothes and everything because I just felt that this young lady might have that real chance. And of course, when Miss America wins, whatever casino hotel that you are housed in, they pack you up and put you in the penthouse. And
Wow.
I knew that that would be happening. So I got everything packed up and went back to bed. And I watched with all the other millions of people across the United States
Right.
her win Miss America.
Wow.
And
You
sure
felt
enough,
that good about her. You
I
begun the
felt that
packing.
good about her.
That's amazing.
We packed up, and sure enough, about an hour after they had announced her as the winner, there was a knock on the door, and it was the hotel people. They moved us up to the penthouse. We had a wonderful reception. I was in terrible pain.
Oh, yeah.
And Kimberly had a sinus infection herself. So that night, when we finally got in the, well, it was morning because it was about 4 a.m. in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
When we finally got in the bed, she and I were lying in the bed and in this gorgeous mirrored room, and I remember her saying, "Miss Rita, you're sick and I'm sick, and we're in this palatial, wonderful place. I'm Miss America, and here we are getting over this sickness." But the next day we were up and ready to talk with the Miss America people and get ready for her to go to New York and get ready to
Oh,
start
wow.
her travel as Miss America. But, so therefore I came back home and I said, now, I didn't get to see this Miss America, so I've got to wait till we have done.
Yeah. I love it. I
Oh, it
love it.
was
And hopefully
great.
that'll
It
be
was
happening in
great.
the not
But
too
you-
distant future. I'm sure every year
Oh,
for all the
yes.
amazing
Absolutely.
pageants throughout the country. They're all
Absolutely.
yearning for that. We had a great judge with us 2 weeks ago when we were here, Jack Cooper,
Yes.
who was on the show last week.
Mhm, from Oklahoma.
From Oklahoma. That's exactly right. He was on the show with us last Tuesday. And for viewers who missed him, they need to go online to CarolinaPeople.com and watch him because he was that good but he drove home some of the points about what it was like for him in the state of Oklahoma, where they had a Miss America
several
back-to-back,
yes.
in 05, 06, or 06, 07, depending on how you calculate it.
And he probably shared with our listeners that the thing about it is that when you have a Miss America, then you come home as a state delegation, and you begin to prepare for her homecoming.
Right.
So you just come off of that whirlwind and come back and start another one. But it's a great and wonderful feeling, and you know, whether you have Miss America or not, there's just a great journey for young women to take in the program.
Oh, absolutely.
And they're all winners when it's over with.
Very definitely. And your journey, speaking of the journey, we've got to talk a little about the journey to the State House, which has been a fascinating one. Rita, you were elected, I believe, in 92?
In 92, took office in 93, served 10 years in the South Carolina House, representing House District 36 here in Spartanburg County.
Right.
And the wonderful thing about it is that when I ran in 92, I actually could pick up the phone and call anybody in the state that was associated with the Miss South Carolina pageant. And I don't know how much they've told you, but I served 10 years.
Right.
And then I decided there was an open seat for our lieutenant governor seat.
Oh, yes.
And I decided to run for the statewide office. Now, I did not win that office, but there again, I had support from all over the state of South Carolina.
I love it. I love it.
In our Horry County, wonderful people down there.
Good support down.
Good support. But I could pick up the phone, and all these young women that had gone through this program, their LEDs, their parents and all, it was wonderful to be able to call them and say, I'm running for a statewide office. I'm going to be in your area. I'd love to sit down and talk to you about my political aspirations and what I see, where I see the state going and that kind of thing. So that was exciting, too, to bring the two programs, to bring an elected office and the Miss South Carolina program that I had been involved in together to work. And many of those people were my best advocates and worked so hard.
Throughout the state.
Yes,
that is tremendous, Rita.
And after I was not elected as lieutenant governor, our present governor, Governor Mark Sanford, of course, was traveling the campaign trail the same time I was.
Sure.
And we had gotten to know each other real well, so he asked me if I would serve on his transition team.
Great.
And that was an 8-person transition team.
Right.
So I served from November till he was sworn in January of 93. And then he asked me if I would come as his education advisor because I'd been very involved in our education here in South Carolina.
Oh, boy.
And I did that for 3 years, and then the last 2 years I have served as his legislative director, working primarily with the House of Representatives, sort of liaison between the governor's office and the General Assembly. And in right before Christmas of 07, I decided to run, so I left there, and I'm doing some work for the South Carolina Commission on Higher Education now, which is great because that's where our young women are, and it gives me a feel of accomplishment to help them move through their scholarship programs and all. And
the South Carolina Commission on Higher Education, I think Dalton Floyd from our area has been very involved for years with that
Dalton served as chairman. He is now chairman of the Higher Education Foundation.
Great.
He and his wife both. Great people and have done a great job for the state of South Carolina.
More great folks coming out of Lake City.
Oh, absolutely.
A lot of great strength out of the lower part of the
Well, you know, that's such a great part of our state and really brings such great revenue for our state. And so many people. I remember going down to Sun City in Hilton Head, down in Bluffton, to speak when I was running for lieutenant governor. And there was a group of about 500 people. And I remember saying, okay, let's check out to see how many of these 500 people, retirees here, are natives of South Carolina.
Right.
Not a one raised their hands. I ended up finding that more people from Ohio had come to retire here than any other state. But one of the things that they said was, you know, when we were raising our families, we put our families in the car and went to the coast of South Carolina for our vacations. So we have decided that this is the place that we want to come and retire. So I think, you know, beautiful area of the state. Historic state, beautiful things about the state. But our Grand Strand area down in the Horry County has really lent a lot of income for the state and a lot of enjoyment for many people in this nation.
We've heard about that. We've seen that. Of course, we see it always when new potential elected officials who haven't been to Columbia
Right.
before are always talking about these big bags of money that go into Columbia and not coming back. And it's a tough, it's a tough thing from any community, whether you're a donor county or not. But ultimately, folks, when you're in Columbia, you have to make the decisions that benefit the entire state and not just your home district. Your focus has got to be on the entire state.
Even though those 2,000 people sent you there from your local district and that kind of thing, you've also there as a voice for everybody in the state.
Absolutely. I've heard that many times before. Senator Ray Cleary from Earl's Inlet area has really highlighted that at times he wants to do things for the home area, but he has to
and everybody
statewide.
has needs, and it's very difficult. But you've got to look at the state holistically and see what is best for the whole.
In addition to your home area.
In addition to those people who sent you there.
We've got to mention you were the founder of and started the Miss South Carolina Scholarship Foundations, and so much of this
I am so excited about our foundation,
Yeah.
and we're probably one of a few states in the nation that have our own foundation under the Miss South Carolina Scholarship Program. But it was a brainchild. We decided we wanted to do it, and I got out and traveled across the state to find some wonderful people who were willing to seed. And some of your other people may have mentioned, but Susan Conley from over in the Lancaster area has been the longest. She's deceased now, and we truly miss her. She had been the longest serving volunteer in the Miss America program, not just Miss South Carolina, but Miss America program. And I sat with her once in Lancaster. She has a restaurant there called Charlie's. And we were sitting there one night talking, and I said, we're really seriously thinking about starting Miss South Carolina Foundation. And we're looking for someone to seed that foundation. And she said, well, my late husband and I have always loved this program, and we volunteered all these years, and I would really like to be that person. So she seeded the foundation.
Wow.
It is now through the Spartanburg County Foundation, which is a 501c3, which is one of our outstanding foundations in South Carolina. And so all of our funds go to the Spartanburg County Foundation, and once a young lady follows all the rules and regulations and fills out her paperwork, then that is sent to the Spartanburg County Foundation, and her money sent directly to her school and her scholarship. So it's a wonderful opportunity. And then there's so many people. We had a member of our board that served as a judge this year in the Miss South Carolina pageant, Kathy Randall. And I believe Kathy has been on your show.
She was on earlier this week. That's exactly right. She aired on Tuesday.
But she's with VP Amico, and they have been tremendously supportive of the scholarship program. But we have a 14-person board for our foundation. They are a diverse group of business people, men and women from across the state of South Carolina. And they work very hard to bring new donors in. And we're just very proud. Our winner receives around $20,000 offered.
Alone in cash.
That's alone, and that's not all the runner-ups and every girl here. So we were just very excited about it. It is growing. People feel very secure about it. Being a 501c3, it's tax deductible. Many of our locals can also put their scholarship monies in, and it's a tax write-off for those who have contributed. So we're excited about it, and more and more every year, more people get involved in it.
And even our viewers who may not be involved in pageants in their communities, in Mullins or in Bennettsville, they may not have a pageant, but they can still get involved and support the Miss South Carolina Scholarship Foundation.
Support the Miss South Carolina Scholarship. It's a tax write-off, and that is going to help educate some young woman from the state of South Carolina in very, very special ways. So, they can feel very, very good about that.
Rita, I hate to say we've almost run out of time. We wanted to get in to talk about Ronnie, your husband, who is the judge's chair, who was with all of us 2 weeks ago up here, doing an amazing job. He has a great story of how he first met you. We're going to have to get you all. That's right.
That he enjoyed being with you all too.
Oh,
and
yes.
Thank all of you for coming.
It
was a great pageant, great set of judges, and I know that you enjoyed yourself, and we certainly enjoyed you being with us.
Very definitely. Please tell him we want to get him when you all come down to the beach sometime.
I will.
He'd be a great guest on the show. Thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Stay tuned to a little more with the Honorable Rita Allison, the Vice President and Chair of the Miss South Carolina Scholarship Foundation, coming up next. You know, we ran out of time, and so many things we could have touched on with Rita sitting here the last 30 minutes. We couldn't focus on her tremendous involvement with the JCs over so many years, her 30-plus years of helping out at Springs Industries and their incredible education programs. But more importantly to Rita, we ran out of time, and she couldn't share that last line of the JC Creed that means so much to her and has been a big driver for her as she helped kick off the Miss South Carolina Day there at the Capitol and kick off the Miss South Carolina Foundation and their amazing scholarship board here in town. Think about it, that amazing last line, that service to humanity is the best work of life. That service to humanity is the best work of life. Rita Allison, her family, and all the extended family of the Miss South Carolina organization making a difference every day. Rita, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely.